And joining us now is the international spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Force, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. Thank you so much for joining us. In 2014, the IDF used airstrikes targeted Hamas and Islamic Jihad senior leaders in tunnels used to smuggle weapons with the goal of rooting out the rocket threat. As we can see, that threat has not only intensified, we're now seeing rockets raining down on Tel Aviv and its suburbs. How is this going to be any different this time?
Hello, Lindsay, and thank you for having me. The rocket threat is indeed a very serious threat that Israeli civilians are suffering from now. More than 1,100 rockets have been fired at Israeli civilians by terrorists in Gaza, forcing more than 5 million Israelis into shelters and unfortunately causing the death of Israeli civilians. That attack, that type of aggression by a terrorist organization against us is something that we cannot and will not tolerate.
What would it take to send Israeli ground troops back into Gaza like in 2014?
So while we are prepared for various scenarios and we have the capabilities, the manpower and the equipment to do whatever it takes, that is not a stage that we are rushing towards, and it is not something that we take lightly. Our aim now is to defend our civilians, to continue to attack military targets belonging to the terrorist organizations Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and to try to restore calm and quiet in Israel.
We've seen video of the Iron Dome intercepting rockets over central Israel, but we've also seen some of these missiles land in Israel and claim lives. Is there a concern that the system is being overwhelmed?
Not only is it not overwhelmed, but it is delivering results and saving lives, Israeli lives, every second of the last 48 hours of combat. That system has proven itself and it has come under significant pressure, but it is living up to standards, and our intercept rate is above 90% of the rockets that have been fired from Gaza towards Israel. So not only is it living up to its average, but it is dealing with very difficult combinations of rockets fired from various locations simultaneously at different targets and sometimes at the same target. I won't get into the technical details, but let's just say that without the Iron Dome, this would have been a totally different ballgame.
And what if the Iron Dome system was not in place? Would there have been massive casualties?
That would be absolutely catastrophic. Then we would have hundreds of casualties, Israeli civilians, as a result of this very massive rocket fire. Again, more than 1,100 rockets have been fired from Gaza at Israel. And one could only imagine, you know what, I'd like not to imagine what the situation would be. And I'm very happy that we have the Iron Dome defending our civilians.
Have you all been surprised by the level of bombardment coming from Gaza?
No, we know that we're dealing with a ruthless jihadi terrorist organization that has no regard for civilian life, not for Palestinian life, and definitely not for Israeli life. The only thing that is slightly odd is their audacity and the fact that they made the decision 48 hours ago to fire rockets at our capital, at Jerusalem, and that they have continued to fire rockets ever since. The pace has gone down a bit now in the last few hours, maybe as a result of our activities, but nevertheless, Hamas has definitely taken a very big and dangerous step, and that is why we continue to operate against it, to make it perfectly clear that this type of aggression will not stand.
You'd have to know the political instability in the Palestinian territories and that Hamas has been trying to consolidate power there. So would you say that there were some warning signs that this could happen?
Well, Hamas has been instigating violence and trying to maximize tensions in Judea and Samaria and in Jerusalem as well. We've seen them use social media, TikTok, Facebook and other platforms in order to incite violence. And what they've been doing is calling out young Palestinians to go to the streets and to confront Jews, Israelis, and to confront security forces. They've been doing that for the better part of the last 3 weeks. And we see them do similar things now and targeting their violence and their hatred towards the Arab population in Israel. So yes, there's definitely lots of politics at play, but as the spokesperson for military, I'll have to focus on what our job is, that is to defend Israeli civilians, and that's what we're busy doing.
What does success look like at this point, and to what cost for both Israelis and Palestinians?
Well, success would be quiet and no siren sounding in Israel, and a terrorist organization, Hamas, that understands that there is a heavy price to pay for any aggression against Israel, specifically the type of aggression that they have conducted. That would be a success in the short term, and that is what we're aiming for.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.